Hello, what have we here? It's another episode of that Andor review. Andor, nothing but Andor. Anyway, but yeah, how's it going, everybody? We're back in another episode of the ESE Fantasy Podcast, Andor Season 2, episodes 6, 7, and 8, right? No, I'm sorry, 7, 8, 9?
8,
I know math.
9.
Listen, I'm gonna get it right eventually, I promise. It's not a bit, I swear to God. Anyway, we're back. My buddy Charlie is with me. I want to make sure and I emphasize that Charlie is a member of this podcast, just in case by 18 minutes into this podcast, if I've rambled somehow in this intro for that long, I'm sorry, buddy. It happens. I have been known to let the tongue fly. I'll let you decide what that means. All right.
Are you saying you're a lickspittle?
I wouldn't use that word. Maybe a bit of a troglodyte. No, anyway.
You son of a bitch.
But I don't even know what that means, so I probably just said the slur in like 17 languages. But, but yeah, so that being said, my brother Charlie, first of all, how are you doing today, my friend? How's it going?
Pretty good. We got Mother's Day this weekend.
Da-da-da-da-da.
We've had some really great Star Wars. We've got, God, there's so much shit.
Some would say the best 2.5 hours of Star Wars ever.
Yeah, and God, there's so much shit happening right now. It feels like every single day that it's awesome, and we have a fun platform to talk about it on.
100%. We appreciate all you out there that listen to this. I literally put out a skeet about this, I think, last night, maybe.
Skeet.
That people that listen to our show at all and like give a shit about what we have to say about these shows and these wrestling shows and movies and whatever. It's kind of cool that anyone even clicks on them at all and downloads them and like whenever Charlie will be like, yo, and people actually listen to this whole episode because like they're this deep in, or like we'll get a reply on something that was from something that was 40 minutes into the show. So that means that you had to have been listening super deep, like I just appreciate you guys,
Gives a shite about what we have to say. Pretty cool.
We'd like to do more mailbag on this show specifically. We get like, I would say probably like, what would you say? Probably like once or twice a month, maybe at this point. It's pretty frequent at this point. We get somebody that will reply either to us on
something, yeah.
On Skitter. On Blue Sky,
the real social media site, Blue Sky, of
on
course.
Blue Sky, which you can follow us on at being Duke at Charlie. But with an X instead of an A, of course. But and yeah. So I guess with that being said, I mean we have 3 episodes of Andor to discuss here. I think this is probably going to go down as one of my favorite arcs of television, maybe my favorite arc of television of all time. Just like. The places we get to go in this one is crazy. So before I actually start talking about that, I want to actually let you have the opportunity to have the floor first this week, buddy. So
yeah, let's I mean, like you said, this has been a really special season of television in terms of, I think looking back, there'll always be that what if we did it weekly, right? And it's going to be,
could have been unreal.
It's going to be there forever. And that is very unfortunate. But, we're 3 weeks in now. It sucks that next week's the finale. That fucking sucks. But we're 3 weeks in now. We got to just push that shit to the side and take it for what it is, like we've been doing. But it is still worth mentioning. If this was a weekly show, oh my fucking God, could you imagine the talk after episode 8, after episode 7, after episode 3, after episode 6? God damn it, after episode 1.
After episode 1, people would have been crashing out with it fucking tied up at the end of the ship, at the end of the episode.
That is the most unfortunate thing ever about Andor. But that's the only bad thing that I have to say. Because holy shit, what a great arc of television we had.
This is about people. Cassian got captured by literally the worst rebels ever.
The worst rebels. God. I've actually started rewatching it a little bit. So my mom has been, which is funny enough because I just mentioned Mother's Day, but she's been watching. She's finally started season 2, which this is always a reminder to people. Didn't realize it started, and yet we're 9 episodes in because it's only been 3 weeks. And just that's a whole other part of this, but yeah. So she started to rewatch it. So I've been like, all right, I'm in. You don't got to tell me twice. So, yeah, the rewatch it's hitting just as hard. I can't wait to see this whole Gorman thing played out in a rewatch just from beginning to end now. And, yeah, I thought Gorman, this whole arc was really, really awesome. And I was absolutely crushed by the end of episode 9. By the end of episode 8, both of them, I was absolutely fucking crushed emotionally. I don't know if it was on this show last week, but you had mentioned, you're like, God, it's been such an emotional week. And you were just like, it teed you up into this. I don't remember what show that was. That's how many shows we're doing.
I think I might have been like the week of Thunderbolts, maybe. I had like such a long
I think it was Thunderbolts, actually, yes.
I had such a long week at work, and I was just like emotionally vulnerable, and like I went into that movie not really expecting. I mean, and you know, I'll derail this just for a second, just to emphasize the point for you. I went into that movie even telling you, I don't know if I'm going to buy Florence Pugh's acting in this, you know, because I couldn't, in the trailer, they had specifically, I think, hid what she did in that scene, you know what I mean? So that people get blown for the movie. So they obviously played me with that, but you know, I walked into that movie and I like just fell in love with all the characters because I think I was open to that, you know? So,
dude, and it's just been such a fucking week from just everything. And for this show to hit the way it did, truly, truly beautiful. And yeah, we'll dive more into piece by piece. But Duke, that being said, I mean, you kind of teed that up at the beginning. We've been hearing a lot of talk about that. I don't know if I'm ready to put my stamp on it just yet, because I don't know if we could beat episode 10 from last year, which was One Way Out, for those that don't remember. But I mean, you kind of mentioned at the beginning, is that how you're are you putting your stamp of approval on that right now? Is that kind of where you're at?
So I'm actually like a little different than a lot of people. While I recognize that I think the best episode of Andor, we talked about this before the show, I think the best episode is One Way Out. I think it ties so much of the first arcs together. I guess it's the first 3 arcs of that season,
our first reveal of Lonnie at all.
Correct. And we get that brilliant speech for the most iconic scene in all of Andor, probably, other than the Mon Mothma speech, which we'll get to. But I mean, you know, up until that Mon Mothma,
that's where we meet Davo as well. And he, he brings in the marriage request. Like, dude, oh my God. What
a banger of an episode. Yeah, 100%. So that episode,
marinating on that for a week was the greatest week ever.
Yeah, I imagine that. That's probably the best episode of the series. But now that might be changed next week. But I think the best like actual conclusory arc in the series is the whole arc wrapping up on Ferrix, because everything that happens from episode 1 through episode was it 12? Was it 12?
12. Yep.
Through episode 12 of that season.
Fight.
It all comes together and it ties. It's like the only way I can describe it is like Tony Gilroy stitched together a sweater perfectly, and like you can't tell any seams or anything because he just did such a perfect job, and it just the last puzzle piece falls into place. And quite literally, you finally hear the full intro song for the first time in the series because they've been piecing it out as different pieces of it through the different arcs, you know. And
that Marva speech gets me emotional every time.
And just the scenes of the whole town mourning together the loss of this, essentially their leader in Marva, you know, like no one called her that, but that's who they all look to for guidance.
We've been sleeping,
you know. Anyway, not to to jump back into season 1 of Andor, you know, but
not season 1 of Andor. Anytime we get to talk about 100%. It, come on.
Glaze Infinite. I mean, it's my favorite season of television probably ever. I you know, like, but maybe unless this one decides to beat it, which it might, you know.
It might.
We're almost there. I'm pretty close, you know. The last couple of episodes, it could really seal the deal, you know. But yeah, I mean, just like, so to me, comparing this to the finale on Ferrix is like so difficult but there's a lot of parallels that you could do there, because the whole Gorman thing, I mean, it does feel like that is the big, and the way that like Ferrix feels like it was the big climax of season 1 of Andor. I feel like this, even though we're going to have more stuff that happens after, and we probably will have some other big, you know, finale thing, but like, I think this is the big gigantic moment they've been building through this entire season, and it delivers in the same way that Ferrix does, I think. So where I'm really honestly, like, you know, and we can get into this a little bit more after we get through more of the episode, I'm really curious to see how they're going to take that. Where are we going to go? What is this adventure with, you know, Cassian and K2 before the events of Rogue One? What is that going to look like? Are they going to be able to make it feel, you know, like as important as what just happened, you know, like, because it's one of the most, I mean, when I say like, and I'll probably, I don't know, I guess we can kind of count this as partially my overall thoughts because we kind of been bouncing back a little bit, but like, I got to tell you, man, it's going to be hard to top this, because the experience of when we actually get into the massacre part of things, you know, just the chaos involved there. You know, like it's stuff that I never thought I'd see depicted so honestly. And then I've even heard people saying it even echoes some stuff that happened in real life in I think Mexico, I think is where it was.
Yep.
In the 60s. And I need to look more into that. I can't speak to that specific, event in history, but the fact that, and of course, Tony Gilroy absolutely loves to echo actual history when, telling stories about like fascism and stuff like that. He's a smart guy, and you know what? Fuck that. Before I even move on and toss it back to you, before we get into more, because I don't even know where we're gonna go with this now. Because this is honestly, Charlie, I don't know about you, but this fucking episode is starting off great so far. This review, we're just talking about some great stuff, and I gotta tell you, man, I've been seeing so much discourse this last week since the speech and the massacre and stuff, and I know shit like this makes people uncomfortable, man. I get it. It's scary shit, but we have to be honest about it. Star Wars has never not been this. We've been screaming this from the rooftops since we started these shows. Star Wars has always been political. It has always been about oppressed people rebelling against a people, putting the thumb to them, and we see what happens when you try and fight back sometimes. When a regime that's so powerful and so overwhelming and so evil, I mean, it's the only real word I have for it,
Yes, how they've described. I mean, dude, in season 1, everything that the Empire does now, like we've known of the Empire basically our entire lives, right? But how season 1 made them feel into what they're doing now, it feels so fucking earned too. They would do that.
Something we've seen it for years. It's something we've needed for years with Star Wars. Because one of the things that I can say now, having had this in my Star Wars, is that this is how the Empire always should have felt. And maybe in the original trilogy to an extent that they did, because we hadn't had all the years of the Empire being turned into sort of a joke in some iterations,
Yep.
But like, this is the version of the Empire that we need back. Not the version that infinitely invents a million, Star Destroyers because Force magic. The one that actually uses totalitarian, tactics and counter-revolutionary I'm not sure the proper terminology here because I'm not revolutionary, but or a CIA agent, but God, talk about that. Have we even mentioned that in any of our reviews? The fucking parallels between the CIA and the ISP, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure the CIA was involved in that thing in the 60s.
Yep, I wouldn't doubt it.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
the ISB is something I'd never really even thought of or cared about until Andor. I mean, I don't even remember ever really necessarily hearing about it. So
my understanding,
for them to take it and do what they did, I was so fucking down.
From my understanding with the ISB, I think there's another intelligence organization within the Empire that's not the ISB that is more well known. I forget what it's called, but maybe it's what the agents, the Agent Callus and all. I think those guys are what you'd think of as the Imperial intelligence apparatus, but I think maybe they're supposed to be more FBI. Maybe they're just super cops as opposed to secret agents like the ISB are. I don't know.
Yeah,
that would make a lot of sense. Although I think a lot of people probably just didn't make the distinction before, because why would you need? You also have Coruscant guys that look like clone troopers, but are actually just police officers. Whatever. Whatever. It doesn't make a difference.
I mean, when you start getting into it with guys like Partagas and Deidre and Lonnie, so many of these people have such great characters.
I know we got a lot with him, but I wish we could have gotten some more stuff with Partagas this season. I know there was no way that we could have done it really the way it was structured, but
that actor in that role is just perfect.
It's Qyburn, right?
For what was it?
The actor playing it was the same actor that played Qyburn in Game of Thrones, right?
I believe so. Not 100% sure on that, but yeah, I mean, he is just so fucking great, and it's really special. So, yeah, okay. What do you want to do? I guess let's just go through some of the episodes.
Yeah,
right?
we kind of bounced. I like the way that worked. We bounced back and forth, kind of just talking about what we were feeling. Got some season 1 of Andor glaze in there, talking about Ferrix again.
Absolutely,
Stone and Sky, my brother.
It was like our, as we talk about in our books, our emotional impact is basically our overall thoughts. I mean, that's kind of what, what it all is. It's all the same thing.
It is the guy,
and
by the
this
way.
show just made us super fucking emotionally invested in it. And let's get into why.
Nah, you know who I want to talk about emotional investment with, dude? And I can't. We got to get into this. I know it's gonna like jump into the middle of this. Cyril fucking Karn.
Oh
dude.
my god.
A character that I wanted to watch get fucking mowed over by fucking Cassian in the first season. When we're watching the fucking brutal fight, first of all, which I'll get to in a second, but when he's standing out there in the crowd, once he's had his revelation, and actually, I just want to kind of like go a little beat by beat with him. So in this episode, he's going through talking to the Gorman front members that he betrayed. I really wish we could have seen that arc, man, where they find out that he's an ISB plant, I really, really would have liked to see what he could do with that. It's one of the few things.
Especially with this Rylands and how great he was. Could you imagine?
God, this should have been 5 seasons. Anyway,
how great this would have been. That would have been.
It could have been so amazing, especially with the chemistry those two had.
I genuinely think. Now, I don't know how feasible this would have been with timing.
Yeah.
But if every year was a season.
No. I think that's what the plan was. I think it was supposed to be 5 seasons, but they decided. I think it was Tony and Diego decided to do this. Is what I've heard people say. Which, if that's the case, I mean, I can understand Diego not wanting to be locked in for like 10 years because it takes like 2 years to make the show, right?
I mean, hey, in the old 6-episode thing, this is basically 4 seasons, right? So
essentially, yeah, we did it, yeah. But
so we'll just headcanon 4 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to see at least a season on Gorman, though, for sure, maybe 2. We could have gotten away with it, But just because there's so much there, and there's so much that we can. And I think Alex Damon, I've heard put it pretty distinctly. You can connect the dots about what happened between Cyril and this girl, right? But like, I really would have liked to see him trying to do essentially what Daedra did to him, and that being a slow realization that he has that Daedra kind of played him in a similar way to that he's playing this girl.
Oh,
it could have been amazing. It
would have been unbelievable.
And then maybe they have conversations about, like, are you doing this to me right now? No, of course, I love you, Cyril. This is not what this is. And then that would have made that scene where he walks out on her and after he chokes her out, hit a little bit, more. But hey, we can connect all those dots. Those are there. You can just imagine that's why their relationship broke down, right? But anyway, so yeah, after he chokes out Deidre, which what a brutal fucking scene. Oh my god, the fucking Kyle Soler, how you pronounce it, deserves like. Can you think he'd be good enough to get a supporting nod in this fucking season? I mean, like, is he good enough? Like,
it all depends on who they push.
Yeah, right. It should probably be for somebody else, I would imagine.
That episode, specifically episode 8, right? Yeah, this is the Emmy episode.
Oh yeah. So if anybody's getting it might be him. He fucking absolutely kills it in this episode. So then we have him out in the crowd after he realizes, and he's slowly realizing what he's been a part of and what he's done and what he's setting up right now, basically, which is a fucking massacre that's about to take place, of all these people that are just innocently protesting. That he like agitated to do these things and stuff like that on behalf of Dedra, who knew fully the whole time what was going on. And his decision to stand with the people he betrayed. I mean, first of all, I didn't think that he would do that, I mean, I don't know if he was fully doing that. He was kind of lost a little bit. He was kind of shocked. But I mean, this guy's just kind of losing his mind a little bit in this crowd. And then all the chaos starts. And I almost think that maybe he was like 1 second away from maybe joining the fight, And then he sees Cassian and it all just fucking comes back, all the shit, And it's like, I've seen people putting it like this, Charlie, because of the brutalness of this fight. But like, he says, "Who are you?" Right? Because like the most important day in Cyril's life, right? That completely changed the direction of life that he went in and turned him into an ISB spy was random ass day to Cassian. He's random day of his just trying to survive in this fucked up world, He doesn't even remember him. And why would he?
Oh, it's so good. I mean,
the thing that defines Cyril's life means nothing to Cassian, and that's insane. Like
it's quite literally just almost the perfect arc. Like it is so great to watch Cyril from beginning where he began, and how important it was, to find. Well, Partagas was always focused on the axis. We got to find the axis. He's focused on the bigger picture. Not Cyril. He wanted that scumbag Cassian Andor who murdered those 2 agents in cold blood. And it could have just slipped under the radar, just like that guy wanted in season 1, right? Basically, in the first episode or second episode, whenever it is. And the guy's like, "Yeah, look, they were where they shouldn't have been. Fuck it, we move on." Nah, not to zero. And like you said,
straight up, Cassian just goes back to living on Ferrix, doesn't ever join the rebellion. Probably Marva dies, is really disappointed in him. Ferrix doesn't go down, and Morlana just keeps on chilling. And then the Empire makes the Death Star, and everybody's oppressed forever. You know, so because nobody has the plans. I mean, they just position every Star Destroyer in front of Scarif so no one can get them. You know what I mean? Like, literally, you know, where they put the Death Star there. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Actually, fuck it. Just blow up Scarif at that point. Plan's gone.
Yeah. So, okay. We open up on
what a great character, man.
Year 2 here with the rebels are on Yavin 4. You know, Cassian and Bix, they live there now. Willman tells him that Deidre's on Gorman, and that pretty much spikes him to be like, all right, I'm fucking going back. That's how Andor gets over there. And basically, the rebel activities have been portrayed as state-sponsored media, by state-sponsored media as terrorist campaigns instigated by outside agitators. And he's pretty much convinces Cassian to help assassinate her, yada, yada, yada. Good shit there.
Yep.
Cassian is on edge because he thinks the mission's from Luthen. He agrees to travel with Willman to Gorman. What are you thinking of? This is something we haven't really talked too much about, but
yeah,
Cassian and Luthen, the final shot last season, the final thing, he gave him the gun, kill me or let me join you. And it ultimately it feels like they haven't actually had a good relationship at all this season. I'm just kind of wondering how are you thinking about this right now?
If they had portrayed Luthen as having a good relationship with everybody else, I would feel a different way about it. But to be honest with you, Luthen is supposed to be, I mean, what does he tell us when we first, in that scene with Lonnie? He's the guy that does the dirty things that nobody else in the rebellion is willing to do. Because it's the whole conversation he has with Saw about letting, I'm trying to think of the guy's name from season 1 that they let die. To
Krieger, Krieger, or whatever.
Krieger, when he lets Krieger get killed because they are compromised, even though he knows that they could save them, it's actually better because then it's going to make the Empire look worse, and it's going to make them escalate. It's all part of the accelerationist policies that Luthen is involved with, and that's going to piss some people off. It drags Mon Mothma directly into the fire several times. Almost gets Clea and Lonnie killed at the party that Davos Skoldrin hosts because they have a listening device in there just for not even just to monitor because they want it for dirt. It was there before. They even had a reason to have Davos on their payroll. I think not that he is, but like to be involved. That he's involved in the laundering of the money for them or whatever. So.
I think if we had more time to spend and it wasn't just 3 episodes per year, I think we would have actually seen them on their good side. But instead, we can only really see it in like last arc, when he's at the place that they're living at in Coruscant.
But I think that's part of what you're supposed to do with Luthen as a character. You're not supposed to 100% agree with everything that he does, because in a lot of ways,
correct.
He uses a lot of people, and he knows exactly what he's doing to them. He knows that Cassian is not okay. He probably needs some time to himself with Bix to try and get her back on her feet, because he knows that. I think ultimately we all know that if he were to just let Cassian have the time, now would it suck because maybe he wouldn't get some things done that he needs done now because Cassian is way more effective than a lot of his other rebels? Yeah, maybe, but long term, he'd have Cassian at full strength, 100%. He doesn't want that. He wants Cassian to himself. They illustrate that quite clearly throughout this season, that he rather would have Cassian and Bix separately because then he can use them more effectively because they're not distracted by the emotions that they feel for each other. As cold as that is to say, that is the way Luthen operates, But you don't see Luthen, having a wife and kids,
And Cassian's arc this season, more or less, has been about him. He's constantly wanting to just, dare I say, almost live for the future and live in the moment. He wants to settle down with Bix. he wants to get
It goes
himself in a
back to that
position.
scene in season 1 where he's like, "What do you want to do with your life?" You know, who is it that he's having the conversation with? Where he talks, is it Luthen? I can't remember who it is. He's having a conversation with when he's got all the money, and he's like, "I just want to eat, sleep, live, do what I want." He still wants that, even though he's decided to dedicate himself to the rebellion. There's still a part deep down within Cassian that wants that life that's easy, where he just gets to chill with all this money he made from the Aldani heist, and he doesn't have to, you know, do anything crazy. The rebellion is not his responsibility. You know, like he still sees a life like that, especially once he has Bix. And that's why, you know, ultimately in episode 9, we end up having to have Bix walk away from him because he's not willing to walk away from that. He still sees a vision of a life like that, even though I think deep down he knows, like Luthen knows, that he's never going to see that life, you know, that he's not destined for that. He's destined to die for the cause, as much as he doesn't want to admit it, because he's one of the people willing to lay down his life for it, you know?
It's just so, yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great arc. You know, you easily could have portrayed Cassian as this, you know, do-gooder hero, but you don't know. Why would that be interesting? Let's give these characters, you know,
it's going to make every scene where he argues on behalf of the rebellion in Rogue One hit so
let's give
much
these characters
harder.
sharp edges. Let's give them, you know, reasons that maybe they can upset us, or we can try to be frustrated understanding them, because that's just human. That's being fucking human, you know? What we need back is, who was that big fucking alien? We need Velch back. Can we go recruit him? Velch from when Andor was trying to get like bullied episode 2 for season 1. I don't know what the fuck. Velch, that big fish. He's like, oh, he paid me to stand here. Bring him back.
Why didn't they ever bring that
He
character
paid me to
back?
stand
He should be
here.
a rebel, bro.
I don't think we ever saw him again.
No, fuck it, cut him into Rogue One.
That guy was awesome looking. So
have him be the driver of the transport that gets blown up in scene 5. I don't know.
Here's another great scene from episode 7. The Force Healer. So Andor doesn't want to go see this Force Healer. He thinks it's all like gimmick. But the Force Healer seeks him out.
That's not how the Force works.
And she, like, they kind of have this spark together, and she can't explain why it happened. But it almost brought life back to her, because it was less of the mundane and more of the, she didn't think this was still here. The shock of what Andor is, and she calls him stuff like the messenger, and Andor eventually walks off thinking it's all a fucking hoax still. But he was still a little shook. He was definitely shook. He tried to play it off like, whatever. But he was still a little shook by it. And Bix is told by this healer that Cassian will be vital to the rebellion. The messenger. I thought this was really neat. I thought this was a fun little scene. Also, we haven't mentioned that. How does it feel to be on Yavin, man? It feels fucking like Star Wars. I don't know how to describe it.
I know. I wish we could have had an arc setting it up.
Yeah. Slowly but surely.
It would have been cool to see them like land and deal with those dudes. It kind of feels out of place to have those dudes be here, and then we come back and we just don't acknowledge that those dudes were there. Like, okay.
Actually, it's that time.
I guess I guess it's been 2 years since then. So,
well, I was gonna say, maybe it's to show us how quick it got up and running.
I mean,
you know,
I guess in the 2 years since those episodes, those guys could have gotten their shit together, I suppose.
So,
you know what I mean? Like,
hey, maybe they'll give us seeds of like Poe Dameron's family, because they live there too.
How they dealt with the wildlife, though, because there were some big ass monsters that they're just not a threat anymore. I guess, like,
that'd be a nice little touch.
Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that's the next
what
arc.
happened to
K2 and Cassian fight the monsters. We're finally getting the KT and Cassian go and do things episodes.
That'd be good. So yeah, that was really cool.
What if that's the fuck you to Star Wars fans that he's been sitting on for 2 years? Is like, actually, I did make one arc that it was just K2 and Cassian doing missions.
So we're back on Gorman, and Dedra finds her position supplanted by Captain Kaido, who's sent by Partagas to oversee all the Imperial subjugation of the planet. Zero begins to doubt her explanations of outside agitators, given his interactions with the rebels. So he's like sus, but he's still, just the beginning of his arc. We talk a little bit about that. Episode 8, we've talked a little bit about pretty much everything, but Kaido instigates a protest in Palmo Central Square, and that's kind of where everything, he intentionally just deployed inexperienced riot police to the volatile crowd. And that's where we had the stuff where Cyril's freaking out about he realized his role in enabling what the Empire is doing. He confronted her, forcing her to tell him the truth. Storms out, but she still wants him protected. Whether, who knows? Maybe, well, to see. Who knows what that was for, but... And they're all massacred, man, and it's a fucking insane, intense scene. The Empire is, being fucking just the Empire. We get the Cyril and Cassian fight, but Carl Ryland's kind of the low-key MVP of this episode. He realized it was where this was going, but no one would listen to him because they're all in too deep. And he's the rebel leader, and he realized it was all fucked up. And then we get that KX Enforcer droid just, oh my god, laying waste upon these people, throwing them 50 feet, killing them on impact.
It's one of those things that feels like it is missing from Rogue One. You get scenes where you see these Enforcer droids, but like Jin literally like one taps one, Yeah. And they're never made to feel intimidated. They're these giant ass fucking droids that are supposed to be intimidated. Again, this is another thing. The Empire has all these
felt intimidating.
And maybe this is something that they can take with the Empire going forward. And I think I have felt it bleeding into some of the other interpretations in Star Wars. You can definitely feel the sinister nature of Imperials is increasing, I think, after the introduction of them in Andor being actually scary. But something that this show has done is you have all these crazy toys in the rebellion era that the Empire had for enforcing things, but a perfect example is the First Order has that riot baton, right? That riot baton looks brutal, but I've never seen it used in a riot, so I don't know how the First Order. I can imagine in my head what they might do with that thing. When you actually show me what a KX droid can do to a crowd of people, I now am afraid every time I see one of those things because I know what it's capable of. And it makes me look at K2 like, God damn, no wonder this guy is just absolutely annihilating things because...
Yeah.
And I understand why Cassian never gave him a gun now. He saw what they could do,
100%. And so, yeah, it's so intense in this, and just
But they have all these toys, man, and they never get used. So the fact that we're seeing them get used on people, I mean, it's maybe some people don't like that, but it's reality.
It makes it, Yeah, no, it's nice to see shit used once in a while, and not just the threat. I mean, we have time to fucking.
I mean, the Empire need to have teeth, is what I'm saying.
Yes,
they never do. They're toothless. They get shot in the thousands, and nobody cares. I love Rebels, but it's something the Rebels does too. The Empire are just fucking idiots.
All we have is that one Agent Callus. That's he's the only kind of guy in the Empire that is not just cookie cutter. So in the aftermath, episode 9, we get the aftermath of the Gorman massacre. The Empire frames the incident as an insurrection. Mon Mothma decides it's time to openly condemn the Emperor and flee to Yavin 4. Bail Organa chooses to stay behind and support her escape. Luther learns from Jung that Organa's team is compromised and assigns Cassian to help her escape. Clashing with Mon Mothma over the depth of his subterfuge within the rebellion and have his choice to have Tay killed. With Bail's help, Morgana takes the floor of the Senate, condemns Palpatine and the Empire's manipulation of the truth. Just incredibly emotional. Wow, so good. And the tension to set this all up, unbelievable. And then more into what happens after in a second. But Duke, just dude, I mean, this speech. Were you feeling that tension like I was? It was so tense, especially following episode 8, which just happened minutes before. I mean, yeah.
I really, these are there were two things that going into this season I'd heard some people talk about. The first was the massacre. I'd heard that it's this canon event in Star Wars that has been talked about a bunch, but never really definitively defined outside of the whole Tarkin thing that they mentioned. That thing has been talked about. But apparently, and I didn't even know this, Charlie, in canon, they knew about this one too. This massacre that took place, it was already a known event. people just didn't spoil it because they're actually good people. But there apparently was always the second massacre that took place, and it was known to be brutal, but no one really knew the details, So first of all, shout out Star Wars fans for being awesome, and not like implying, this could be a thing, like they didn't do that thing, but like that and the speech. These are the two things going into this that I knew there was going to be some big event around, and obviously the massacre very much delivers. The speech, I think it delivered in every way that it could have, and I think positioning it right next to the brutal violence that we had in the previous episode. First of all, it makes complete sense that Mon Mothma either sees footage of this or hears accounts from it from Luthen or whatever the deal is, how she finds out the information that she does. Of course, that would spring her into action. Of course, the events of that are the kind of thing that would spring somebody like Mon Mothma, who, while has had the courage to do more than many other people in the Empire to try and stop the evil that is clear in the Empire. She was obviously, this was the thing that finally decided, I can't stand back anymore and try and do this the right way in the Senate. I'm going to just have to go with the people that are armed and try and figure out a way to win this war, because there's no more room once they start just blatantly killing people in the streets for disagreeing with them. There's no room for politics at that point. And I think it's also kind of something the show hasn't particularly illustrated. It did in the first season, but it does feel like there wasn't as much room for Senate stuff in this particular season because of the weight of some of the action that was going to have to take place in the middle. But
I can only specifically remember one Senate scene.
Mm-hmm. There's only been a couple, and that's fine. But but we got more of an idea because they would say, "Oh, we have passed, with the resentencing directive order, right?" And so you would be like, "Yeah, we could try and pass legislation, but it really doesn't matter because it's all kind of basically rigged." So that's another reason why she would walk away, obviously, because at this point, there's really no room for any maneuvering within the Senate. It's kind of this is not long before the Senate's going to be completely dissolved as a body by Palpatine in a few years, So, like, it's, so it's one of those things where I think they did a brilliant job of formulating a speech that I think will speak to generations to come. I think that there are things that Mon Mothma says within this speech that are relevant, not just to right now, but to different parts throughout history that echo these sort of messages that you want people to take away from a story like this, It's like, I heard Tony Gilroy say something the other day, like, when's the next time someone's going to get to write a 1,500-page treatise on revolution,
Yeah.
He took that and he fucking ran with it, So it's a glorious thing. It
really is, and it's been fantastic to watch. It's needless to say.
O'Reilly's acting in the scene too. I mean, yes, she did that all in blue screen, by the way. I think too, with nobody around, like
insane. And I like that neither of us take this for granted. Like, we know how special this show is, and we're just living in the moment, And I think there's a lot of people that are always scared to like really dive in. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't know. I feel like you and I, we understand when we are watching something that's special, we acknowledge it. We're not afraid to be like, it's good, but let's give it a couple years before we actually say how good it is. Like, sure, in terms of the pop culture zeitgeist of it all, you can give it a couple years to really see how it makes its impact. It doesn't determine the quality of the fucking show. Dude, you listen to a song tomorrow, if it's the greatest song you've ever fucking heard,
you're allowed to say that, yeah. You can say that. It's not like just because you said that one, like, okay, I'll give you an example. Say I listened to a Green Day song today. We'll just say American Idiot. It's not my favorite song, but we'll just say that it's my favorite song ever right now, right? And then let's say Green Day comes out with a new song, and it's better to me than American Idiot. Am I now supposed to say, yeah, but it's not as good as American Idiot because I still don't want to invalidate my opinion from the previous day? No. You're allowed to change, and I'll fucking say this right now. I think this is the best Star Wars ever gets. I really fucking hope that I'm wrong, because if I am, guess what? That means I get that too. So,
in terms of smart, astute writing,
like, I'm not going to be mad if something's better.
No,
like,
exactly. If we get a show that is smarter and better than this, I fucking hope to,
And you have to
I
hope.
hope
That's
it
the hope.
happens.
That's what you have to hope coming out of this as a Star
That
Wars
is how
fan.
good this is. That's not saying something can't ever, but I don't like that so many people, and because it's a double-edged sword, because you don't want to sound hyperbolic, but at the same time, like, who fucking cares, man? If you're passionate about something and you know who you are, you know what your type is. Like, for us, getting to this Mon Mothma speech, this is better. This was better than any fucking action scene you probably could have given me. Like, it didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't need her to fucking, dive through an obstacle course, and it was an emotional obstacle course. It was a secretive one with the fucking the spy and shit like that. Like, and her deliverance of that speech, that's better than if she pulled out a lightsaber and fucking fought Palpatine right there to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Action comes in different ways. One of the best scenes from House of the Dragon season 1 was Corlys and Rhaenys at the fireplace, and I stand by that. It wasn't a fucking super dragon action scene. It was like riveting conversation. And yeah, I don't know where the fuck I was going with that. But anyways, we finally get 21 episodes into this show. Cassian and Mon Mothma have a scene together. And it wow. For starters, applause for holding off this long. Because you easily could have just accidentally did something a long time ago, right? Just to get your main characters in the same room. No, not at all. And wow, he gets her to escape, and they both realize they're working with Luthen. There's a whole other plot line about one of her, like her secretary or whatever, betraying her and working for Luthen. But that's a whole other, like, there's so many great fucking plot lines. Sometimes you can't hit every single detail, but this plot line of Cassian being the one to save her and the reasons for doing it, so good. And he shoots these people right in front of her. Her reactions kill me every time. I'm so glad they've made their way around on Blue Sky, on Twitter. I've even seen them a little bit on fucking YouTube, people talking about her facial reactions to getting shot when Cassian starts popping motherfuckers up.
Glorious, we got her.
And it's so good. And
who are you? Blast.
And he takes out the driver that she's been manipulating for the 2 seasons now. Because our first time meeting the driver, if I remember correctly, was her directly setting him up. And then he yapped about parents gambling to the ISB.
That is
like,
correct.
It was like, she's been setting this guy up for so long. He gets fucking got. Oh, so good. And they get back to Cassian's apartment. Well, she recognized that he lived there, and it's, she has to position her. She has to stay on Coruscant to publicly position herself with the rebels. And so Cassian takes Drina and Wilman back to Yavin 4. Before we get into the end of the episode, I guess
that's one of the only moments where Tony Gilroy ran into a cannon wall, where they were like, nope, you can't have him leave with her. And you're like, okay. Like, they're fine. Yeah. He can't take her
they came up with a quick
fine.
reason why, and it worked. What did you think of finally seeing these two on screen together? And also, are you as impressed with as I am with 21? It took them 21 episodes to do it.
I mean, the balls.
Like, that's insane.
I mean, because like if you think about it, most other TV shows, what you said, like you said, would have just done it a long time ago, just to and then they would have gone their separate ways and then come back together. But like. And that could have worked in its own way, but like the fact that these two had these paralleling arcs for the first season, never interacted with each other, it never really seemed like they would for any particular reason. But then you also knew that going into the second season, or if there had been 3 or 4 seasons, that like later down the line there would have been a call for them to meet with each other at some point.
No matter what, they had to both be on Yavin at the end.
Correct.
Right.
So there would have been a meeting point at some point, regardless whether they did this. But because of the way that we ended up doing things, it actually makes a lot of sense for him to be involved in it. Honestly. At this point in the rebellion, who does Luthen trust more to get this done? You know what I mean? So it makes complete sense. You don't have to do backflips in your mind to imagine why it is that, they don't trust Bail Organa at the end of the day, like ultimately, because as good of a guy as he is, he's a little naive in this whole spy crafting game. Like he thinks he knows what's going on, but like ultimately the ISB are capable of playing him, right? So, and I appreciate that that when they actually do sit down and have a conversation, that I think that one of the reasons why Mon Mothma goes so hard going into the Battle of Yavin and stuff like that, is because of people like Cassian, who she's seen. Did she specifically know that he was on Gorman? Did Luthen say that about him to her? I can't remember.
I don't think he's ever mentioned it to her. Like, who? Oh, the character that he was playing. No, I don't think they had that conversation.
Yeah. So I
have friends everywhere.
But even so, like, she knows that he's been fighting the rebellion, and she asks him, like, what is it that I can do, to make it worth it.
That scene of, again, when we talk about the Emmys, when he's driving away in episode 8, his acting, dude. I'm still, look, the fact that we had our hopes up, and I not even had our hopes up, but the fact that there was a legit possibility this guy was playing Reed Richards, and just to see, like, how great of an actor he is, and just that emotional.
Wait, Diego was up for Reed Richards at one point?
Yes.
Damn.
After Adam Driver, he was the heavy rumor for a little bit there. And then once it was Pedro, it was locked into Pedro. But I just always thought about that, like, and that became my headcanon, Reed Richards. I was like, oh, dude, I'd do him every day of the week. Like, and when you see that acting ability, like, oh my God, man. Oh. On every level.
Diego,
so we get to the end here,
brother.
And this just, Duke. Dude, how good was this? He decides to leave the rebellion. He wants to start his new life with Bix. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm actually getting goosebumps.
I know.
But she leaves in the night. She leaves this video message telling him that he must stay with the rebellion to help them win.
First of all, video messages in Star Wars, we have holograms. Come on now.
Yeah. Hey. And this is probably why they stopped using him, brother, too. He couldn't fucking stand it. She will find him again once the rebellion is ended. And wow, Bix, this actress, good for her. Adria Arjona, good for her.
What a great season of television for her, by the way. The opening fucking arc that she gets to portray, like, sexual violence to women in an oppressive system like that, and furthermore to I'll just say, to illegal migrants, you know what I mean, being taken advantage of and stuff like that.
So elevated from just being Cassian's
dealing with drug addiction and trauma from torture at the hands of an authoritarian system that wanted to break you.
She was basically left like a fucking, in a vegetative state at the end of episode 12 last season. She couldn't walk, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean,
what a great arc.
And then 3 more trauma on top of that with the guy. With the
unbelievable. She got her revenge, though. She absolutely got her revenge.
That guy's fucked.
And K2SO pops up at the very end like a post-credit scene.
That guy got turned into a death trooper. That's how fucked he is.
And so now we're going to go into these last 3 episodes with...
Purge Trooper, sorry.
Some fun banter with Andor and K2SO finally being together again. I can't wait. What a great...
I really hope it's not just... I know I've joked about it. I really hope it's not just them having a fun 3-episode arc. I really hope that there's a bonding moment between them where there's some serious shit that they go through, because I feel like this show it doesn't need to end on and go watch Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to end the way it ends, sure. There will be banter of them. There has to be some banter. That's just naturally what K2SO is. But also, I think we're going to see Andor fear him. And getting over that fear for a little bit and beginning to trust him is not going to be easy.
Now, here's a very important question. Do they go beyond Rogue One at the end? Do they jump forward past the end of Rogue One with Bix going to Cassian's grave or something like that?
I mean, if Bix is alive, if some of these characters are alive,
I know, Bix is alive. She's gone, and if they bring her back if they fucking do a goddamn Frenchie with her, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Like, we don't need to bring her back for the finale. Like,
no.
I
I don't
she's
know
gone.
if we're
I
gonna
don't
see
think
her
she's
again.
coming back, so she's probably not gonna get killed unless she gets off screened, which would be really stupid.
I don't think you could get a better ending than this. And we got her. She's gonna find him, right? So I think that's the perfect ending for her. No, you don't bring her back. Now, if Luthen survives, maybe there's something with him. But again, like, there's no way Lonnie.
Oh my god, imagine we get the scene post Rogue One, Luthen's in the fucking sky above fucking Scarif watching the destroy. Because I've heard people say that what Jedha looked like after they fired one blast onto it was pretty bad. Imagine if they show us that with like the destroyed aftermath of Scarif. And he's just looking at what he did. They haven't showed us
the Death Star again since the end.
Like, maybe he was there in the battle, and everyone else is already gone, right? But like, Luthen's just like, I don't know how he'd still be there. Maybe the Empire's already pulled out or something, and he comes in after, and he looks at the aftermath of what he caused by bringing Cassian in the first place, and he just like looks regretful. And then maybe that's why he's not around for the rest of Rebellion, because he just walks away, like. I don't see Luthen not dying, though, to be honest with you.
Agreed. And I think...
Do we think he's a Jedi? I know you don't, but like, some people do.
No, I just don't.
We did just reintroduce the Force right before these episodes, so like...
I can't imagine he wouldn't have been using the Force, and they wouldn't have shown us. Maybe he has been,
man.
They would have shown it to us. If we get some montage about he fucking used it to manipulate Cassian and everyone else in his crew over and over and over, I am going to be like, yeah, that's not canon to me. Fuck that. That's
Take away
not
all
to
of
me,
the
buddy.
agency of all the characters for the entire
If we
series.
do something like that, again, but you would have to be a talentless fucking hack to do something like that. And we're talking about fucking Tony Gilroy. We're talking about Dan Gilroy. And who's doing the last 3 episodes? Tom Bissell. Like, I don't see it happening, dude. No fucking way. Now, if they wanted to reveal he's a Jedi,
No, I think he could be a Jedi and it not be stupid. I think as long as he...
Yeah, I'm down if they do it.
Because if he's going to make the ultimate sacrifice, him pulling out a lightsaber and like fighting a shit ton of stormtroopers or something would be metal, But,
would be metal.
But I don't know if that's going to happen,
I think we have a better chance of seeing Vader than that happening. Personally.
Maybe we could have both.
Yeah, maybe. I think he's getting got by
Vader has killed a lot of Jedi. He could be one of them.
I think he's getting got by Deidre. I think she's taking him out.
I think they take each other out. I think she shoots him with a blaster and he stabs her with that fucking knife he always has on him. I've been setting that knife. That's Chekhov's fucking knife. You know what I mean? The knife in his like cane or whatever, the cane thing.
All right, here's another one for you. Are we gonna see Mon Mothma in that hair?
I mean, I would think so. She's gonna have to put
horrendous haircut.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Maybe. I would think so.
Maybe.
Is there a chance? I mean, this is gonna sound insane. Is there like a small 1% chance that we get some? Well, no, we can't, right? Because fucking Mon Mothma didn't seem to know who Leia was in Rogue One, so I guess she can't probably show up, right?
Yeah.
She could be. She.
I mean, we got the young actress of Leia. They could have easily
joined the
been
rebellion yet. You could do a Leia. You could do a version of Leia in some way. I think she'd be an adult by this point, wouldn't she? Because she's about to be in Rogue One. She'd be like,
oh, true. Well, in that case, just use Billy Lord. So
yeah, you could have Billy Lord show up as. But would they do that? It would have to not be on Yavin.
Again, yes. Would they do that? I don't know.
No, would this team of writers do it? Probably not. But could it's the last arc? So I mean, and so would that be something they would do? I don't know, but.
I'm guessing whatever his closing shot is, he's got the perfect way he's going to tie this all into, like, put the little Star Wars rainbow.
I do think we're ending on. I think the actual show itself will end on them about to leave to go grab Jyn, but I don't know if that's going to be the last shot of the show. I think that's where Cassian will wrap up. I don't know if that's the last thing in the show, though. We may go beyond that, and I'm fine.
I mean, look, I like that idea. If the closing shot is Bix, like after the war, looking for him, being like, what did he do, and maybe. By then, the information's out there.
Maybe that's what Luthen does in the last episodes, right? Maybe he goes to Bix and explains what happened. And she's pissed at him because she knows that he didn't, she's now unhappy because he died. But they ultimately agree that it was for the best, I could see a scenario where Luthen somehow doesn't die but just walks away because he's done so many bad things. Like, I don't imagine anyone will want him around in the world they're going to build.
He's there.
I don't think he
Axis can't live. I mean, what if Partagaz gets him, dude?
There's so many ways you could go with this. I'm so excited for next week. Like, it's going to be insane.
I'm like, I can't fucking wait.
It's the most hype I've ever had for a finale of television ever, I think, for a long time.
I think I agree. I mean, it's yeah.
All right, will it be better than the finale of The Penguin?
I hope so. Imagine, dude.
Imagine if it was, bro.
I am so optimistic.
Luthen strangles fucking Cassian.
I do think if Luthen gets got, it's not going to be the last episode.
Is there a chance that Cassian kills Luthen?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I think we're going to really see these last 3 episodes of Cassian locking fully in.
Hear me out. Cassian's dead. Bix kills Luthen.
Shit. We might enter. I was just saying, maybe we'll see banter of him and K2SO. That might already be done.
B2 Emo kills Luthen.
Yeah, maybe Bix went to go get B2 Emo. No, I do think Andor and K2 will actually be buddy already. I forget a year has passed. It's not like next week. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see them, like, maybe going on. I don't even see how they're going to go on a mission. I have no idea how this ends, and I can't fucking wait.
I would imagine
cannot wait.
There's going to be some kind of objective. I mean, shit, I don't know. It's what's so interesting about it being 3 more episodes after them turning K2SO on, and they're going to have a year of them doing.
We got like 2.5
together.
hours of this shit, man. We got like a movie left, brother.
But like, it'll be interesting to see what it is that they frame for this last thing, because right now we have Melshi there, right, from the prison, and we have
Melshi's gun. Melshi's gun is the Glup Shitto.
He's back.
That's good shit.
He's back.
Velch is my Glup Shitto. Fuck you.
Was Melshi in Rogue One?
Yes,
I thought so. He's on the beach, right? In the group of dudes that go with them to Rogue One to Scarif, I believe.
I'm one with the Force. The Force is with. Ooh, maybe that's why that scene was important for Andor too.
Oh yeah, no, because he's got connection to the Force. No, we actually didn't mention that. I mean, we can mention that right here at the end. I mean, it's deep in, but like there is a connection with Andor and the Force, because they meet up with.
Maybe that's why he doesn't think it's as ridiculous when he meets those guys.
Oh, of course, because he's literally interacted. He knows he's got a destiny within the Force, even if he doesn't fully understand it. So he may reject
I'm one
it.
With the Force is with
but
me.
He actually, and I think on a personal level, Cassian can feel that. What is it that the person says to him? Most people, they, are a collection of events that have happened to them, like their reactions and their like shattered pieces of it and stuff like that. It's not how she phrases it, but that's basically the way I took it. Whereas he kind of just takes it all on, and it adds up to the total of what he is, which not many people can do. And so he would be aware of the fact that he's going somewhere. And it's kind of probably why, again, going back to what I said earlier, that he wanted to be able to just eat, to sleep, do what he wants, The reason why he wants that is because he feels constricted by these tight bonds the Force has always had on him, pushing him in a direction, It's the version of the Force I like the best. One that tugs on you and pulls you in a direction, not like a god that like has a will. I mean, the will of the Force is a thing, but it's almost more like a sort of like a what the Jedi religions were originally based out of. It's almost more like an Eastern philosophy of like a everything is connected and everything is, there's the will of the Force is more like the natural order of the universe, which the Sith attempt to pervert by their manipulation of like the midichlorians and stuff like that. Like there's some deep messages in there within what they're saying with the Force in this. And I think that getting back to what the original trilogy thought about the Force is something that Star Wars has needed to do for a long time. Unfortunately, I don't think Dave Filoni wants to do that based on what he does in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Maybe someone like me will get my voice heard out there, I mean, hopefully.
We'll have to see. And that's what it's all about, right? So, all right, guys. That's it for this. We have some fun stuff coming up the pipeline. We have some stuff that's just been done.
More Mistborn.
Yep, we have Mistborn. We're doing that trilogy in our book reviews. We have Andor, of course, next week.
Andor, nothing
where
but Andor.
We will, if you... After every TV show, Marvel or Star Wars, we have updated rankings. So
Andor's going into S tier. Sorry.
Keep an eye out for that next week, too, as we're doing the finale and plus rankings.
Spoiler
it's always fun
Andor's
for us.
not moving on my list.
we have another TV show we're reviewing, The Last of Us. So we have 3
Zombies.
episodes left of that, including these 3. We have our Thunderbolts review is out. Our Sinners review is out. Then there's another little mini review of some French movie I went and saw. Remember I was telling you about that French movie. Bonjour Tristesse. So that is up there too. And yeah, next time we get a chance to do some news, we just saw Last Breath. I'd like to talk about that on a video. And, just some of these other movies we can actually give some reviews on next time we have a fucking video we can talk about them on, for fuck's sake. But we have so much stuff to talk about. But other than that, anything in the near future I am forgetting, Duke. What I'm trying to say, people, is follow our show if you are interested in any of this.
Lock the fuck in.
Yeah. So we have so much shit. If you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which if you're listening to this, I'm guessing
the ranking video. Yeah.
We are doing an MCU movie ranking, Thunderbolts updated edition. So you can catch this coming up now, or you can catch it in 3 months after we update it after Fantastic Four. So
correct.
A fuck of you. No.
A fuck of you, a fuck of me.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for checking this out. I really hope, because a lot of people are going to be looking up this episode. I hope our show finds you and you enjoyed our conversation. Be sure to talk to us about it. On Spotify, you can leave a comment and we can talk about it on the next review. If you want to reach out to us on social media, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, at Bane Duke and O Charlie with an X instead of an A on Blue Sky is where we'd like you to reach us out there. So thank you very much. And I hope you guys enjoyed our show. Look at that. Like you said, we went over an hour, so that's a fucking longest Andor review yet.
I tried to tell you this was going to be a long one because they hit some really seriously deep, meaningful, and absolutely important stuff in this series, and I think it's worth talking about. I'm totally down to spend an hour of my time. You know what? We should mention this before we get off, because we're about to get off. But if you guys like Star Wars books, we've got a couple on our radar. We are going to be reviewing Star Wars books this year. We have the new Acolyte Wayseeker book. The Mask of Fear, the Reign of Fear. Does that sound right? It's the Mask of Fear, I believe. Is what
Mask of Fear. That is out, and that's the Mon Mothma book series, and I think there's going to be at least 3 books of that. So I think book 2's next year, and then the finale of the High Republic, Trials of the Jedi, in June. So we're going to have some Star Wars books coming up too. So again, that's our book club. If you are, maybe you don't give a fuck about books, guys, Acolyte the Wayseeker. It's a pretty short novel. It just came out this week. Check it out and join our book club with us. So we're going to be doing that in this month. So really appreciate if you wanted to.
How many books
have
we reviewed at this point? We're at a decent number.
God, we're over 10.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after we do our next one.
Does that make us officially book critics at that point?
I think our book club's legit at this point. We've branched out pretty far, and it's going to be only more legit by the end of the year. So again, if maybe fuck that, we'll start doing that. We're going to start mentioning now Acolyte Wayseeker. Jump on board. Read this book now. Come join our book club. Let's fucking talk about it.
100%.
Thank you very much, guys, and we will catch you
up on the Mistborn series if you have the time too.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk. Spoiler alert, that's what we're doing next. Catch you guys later. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the show. Mando, take us home.
I like those odds.
Hey, Mando.
Hello, what have we here?